Having a narcissistic parent or someone in your life has ups and it has downs. The ups feel like sunshine and rainbows, and everybody's just overly happy and the attention is flowing well. The downs feel like doom and gloom. They feel uncomfortable and it feels tense. If you're somebody trying to navigate between those two worlds, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Teresa, a first-generational cycle breaker. Ding! I'm always proud of that. Everything I talk about is based in knowledge and education, but I also have lived this for myself. So what is the basis of being a part of a narcissistic relationship? For me, it was from my parental figure. For you, it might be a loved one, a relationship, like a loving relationship. It could be a friendship. It could just be someone you even work with sometimes, right? The basis of it stems from the fact that the person you interact with, this person who is creating this tense feeling in your life consistently, through pattern, through behavior, through words, puts their needs above yours. So my parental figure wasn't just like a bad day parent. It was a consistent pattern of making choices that put them and put their needs above mine without any consideration. So you may be someone that was told that your needs are too much, like you are doing the most, or that you were just never enough to fulfill their needs. Love was not given freely. It had to be earned. That is what it felt like. It had to be earned. And then you also never really knew what version of them you were going to get at any given time. Was it going to be sunshine and rainbows, or was it going to be doom and gloom? You just never knew. There's two different flavors or types of a narcissistic person. There's the loud one, the one that you clearly can tell they're a narcissist. You always knew it. You felt their energy. They always made sure you knew that they were first. Most people don't talk about that quiet narcissist in your life. You know, the one that's like a martyr, the one that's always the victim, the one who always or generally uses the phrase, "For all I do for you, and you just don't understand." This is all different ways of approaching a different packaging, but in the end, you still felt the same. And this video is not here to diagnose the person. This video is not to put that person down. This video is for us. This video is for us to name what happened. And in order to move forward, we have to first name the behavior. So let's talk a little bit about the ups. In the up moments, you chase those feelings. You love those feelings. That's, again, those sunshine and rainbows. That's when that person is being generous and loving and attentive and caring. And those are the moments when you kind of say to yourself, maybe I'm tripping a little bit. Maybe the way I was feeling yesterday was not the real person. Maybe today's person is the real person. And then you would think to yourself, let me try to figure out how to keep this going. Let's keep this good time going. But we always know on the other side of that thing, doom and gloom was right there. And that love in those moments was real. The person probably did love you or does love you through the ups and the downs, right? That feeling is real. It's not a fake feeling because they're self-centered. Your feelings were accurate. You felt love, and it was love. And the good times is what makes the whole situation complicated. Because like I said, it makes you second guess when you're feeling less than during the down times. And if we're honest with ourselves, if it was all bad, you'd leave in a heartbeat. But because you got that toggle, you're going to keep coming back for the good. So some of the downs, right, when the doom and gloom season is here, one of the things that you learn during those down periods is how to read a room. Reading a room was vital for emotional and sometimes physical safety. Heck, mental safety as well. Let's add the mental in there. Mental, emotional, and physical safety. You had to be able to come in that room, survey the lay of the land, kind of know the vibe to know how you were going to move. So your day started out with their emotional state, and then you adjusted yours to fit. Am I right or am I right? Sometimes within the household, you became the peacemaker. Not because you wanted to necessarily. Maybe you wanted to war a little bit on your own, but it was needed in the household in order to maintain like an equilibrium. So sometimes you just had to step up and maintain that peace within the family members and the family system. And one of the big things is you knew you couldn't disagree freely. Disagreeing had consequences. Those consequences could have been the silent treatment. Those consequences could be being put on the outs within the family system. Those consequences could have had you second guessing your feelings and your thoughts and your opinions. It came with real consequences that came quick, right? So if you disagreed, it wasn't just going to be ignored and you weren't going to, just get a normal feedback on something that was a different opinion. You were going to face a consequence of some sort. And I think one of the most consequential parts of the doom and gloom season is that you love them. Just like I do think a lot of times they loved you too. You love them, but you could never fully trust them and trust the situation because it was volatile and it was always going to change. And that to me is one of the saddest parts about the doom and gloom season. And for me, it being a parental figure, the first people who teach you about trust are the parents, right? So I had to learn trust a whole different way. And I'm still kind of learning it. But we'll keep that to ourselves. And so out of those sunshine seasons and out of that doom and gloom, you created patterns, right? Again, we're not talking about them. We're talking about you. You created patterns that help you navigate life within that family system. And then you took those same patterns, or you might still be taking those same patterns into your current relationships. And that's relationships with your significant other, relationships with your friendships, relationship with your children, right? There's been many a moon when I've had to check myself and think, am I the baddie here? I had to think about the way I was approaching my children, the way I was conversating with them and relating to them. You may tend to second guess yourself more. It may be something simple like what's for dinner. You may want to ask someone else's opinion about what's for dinner consistently. This is not like a one-off just because you're tired of thinking about it. Just like a constant having the need to check in with someone else when you have that first initial thought about a specific thing. That tends to happen. Overthinking becomes your thing. I'm not going to say I do that. I'm not going to say I don't do that. But I will tell you, hypervigilance is a killer, right? A literal killer, because you're just on constant alert. And that was taught because you had to be constantly alert in those environments, right? So outside of that family system that was before, in your current ones, now you're constantly overthinking everything, overthinking every step, overthinking every movement, staying hypervigilant, which is keeping those cortisol levels up. Cortisol helps to make you chunky. So we got to figure out a way to get around that. And then don't let you have some needs that need to be met. That just feels like torture to have to ask somebody to help you with anything. Again, this whole list I identify with to my soul. I hate having to ask for help. And I work at it every day to put myself in a position to maybe not get it and be okay with not getting it. So I understand. And then because you've created these patterns in your life and you carry them in future relationships, you do tend to vibe and pick up on the same situations or relationships that mirror what you came from. So these are kind of the negative effects that come from that sunshine and doom and gloom stages of that family system. And remember, these are not character flaws. These are survival skills that you adapted, that you learned, that you integrated into your soul to keep yourself safe. And so, thank you for keeping yourself safe. I'm thankful that you made it through that tough time and you kept yourself safe. I'm thankful today you are still doing these things and you're keeping yourself safe. The next step, what we need to do is figure out ways to get you out of that or to integrate those feelings. At the end of the day, you get to decide if you're going to stay in this direction, go down this path, or are you going to break this cycle, break this chain that was created before you even showed up here on earth, right? It is a decision that rests with you. A lot of times we get caught up thinking, this thing happened to me. It did. It happened to you. Now what? Now what are we going to do? You got to remember this loop was here before you. It was what shaped them. It was what shaped the people that shaped them. And it was them, so on and so on. This loop has been going generations by generations by generations. You can choose to be the bridge that holds the fort here, that stops the past, and then allows the future to become something different. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do in each one of my videos. I'm going to encourage you to be the bridge, hold that boundary, hold that line, create a different path. The way I look at it is if you have a tree, most people think of the family tree. And so you have these branches that go here, maybe that's your sister. These branches that go there, maybe that's your brother. These branches go there, that's other siblings. I'm asking you to not necessarily, I'm lying. I'm asking you to cut your branch off and replant it. That's what I'm asking you to do. And it's not as far as like leaving the system. It's you're going to do your branch a different way. And so that any fruit that comes from your tree, whether that's your own children, whether that's children you influence, whether that's just relationships and people you impact, that tree, that fruit, it tastes completely different from the stuff that was fed to you. So one question I think this week, let's all kind of think about. And when I say think about, really give it some strong thought, maybe even get a writing prompt if you're working with a therapist. Kind of talk to your therapist about it. What feelings, what emotions were you not allowed to feel in your family system? We always hear that saying, like for little boys, don't cry, boys don't cry, right? So they were taught to swallow those tears and put their shoulders back and pretend like they weren't hurt. What feeling were you not allowed to feel? And so I will share with you mine. I know for sure. I wasn't allowed to feel fear. I felt like my role in my family was the protector. It was the shoulder. It was the person everyone leaned on. So if I was afraid of something, I had to always swallow it back and put my shoulders back and make sure that I was there for others. And now I'm allowing myself to feel fear. And it's a little wild. And so don't force an answer. If nothing's popping up to you, it's okay, right? It will come to you intuitively. These thoughts are like the beginnings of opening up, like the clearing of how can we clear out some of this goobity-gock? How can we figure this out and get our path a little bit more clear so we can move in a little bit more clearer direction? Just noticing things like that is the beginning of the process of naming what happened. So next week, we're going to be talking about the parentified child. So if you were the glue, the tightness, the thing that held it all together, we're going to be talking about you. So go ahead and subscribe so you can get those videos, and bye.